Hi there, I'm Sophia Hernandez, and today in the spotlight, we are speaking to the sweetest soul who really just allows everybody to feel more at peace with themselves. Today in the spotlight is Maddie Hanlon. Hey Maddie, how are you?
Hello everyone. Hello my love. Super happy to be here. I'm super excited.
I feel like it has been, I love doing this because sometimes it's people who I've always wanted to speak to and pick their brain. And then other guests, it's people like you that they're friends of mine that maybe I haven't spoke to in a while. So it's just like a double whammy of amazingness. I get to catch up, pick your brain. It's so awesome.
Yes.
Can you tell people a little bit about you, where you're at, what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. So I am a Reiki master, a spiritual life coach, and a meditation teacher. So I am currently located in St. Pete. I've been doing this for about a year and a half now, and I am loving it beyond words. I always knew that I was meant to be a healer of some sort, but I've been able to really truly find my calling in the holistic realm of healing. So I just feel very grateful to be doing what I'm doing.
And for people who don't really know, because I think you say all those titles, and I think some people maybe think that it's all the same thing or didn't know that there were separations between that. What are kind of each of those things? What do each of them kind of imply as far as that job title?
So Reiki is a really powerful healing modality that is used for energy work. So it is off of the basis of the 7 chakras, so the chakra system within the human. And it is meant to help unleash and unlock any kind of blockages that are coming from, the past, any kind of cyclical places of trauma, such as allowing for the same type of people to be led back into your life, such as, toxic exes, anything like that. Really powerful with, leveling up in consciousness, leveling up in your frequency, moving to a frequency of freedom, of love, rather than fear. So it's really great with physical pain as well, really great with emotional pain. Sometimes people are able to see their past lives, their ancestors who have passed on to the other realm. So it's a deep dive into the spirit, the energy of the body and the spirit realm, different from the material realm, the physical realm that the human body lives in. So that's Reiki. And then meditation is a different scope, but it's pretty much what you're doing in Reiki. So Reiki, to kind of go back to it a bit, you're laying on a massage table and you're fully clothed, and I'm placing my hands on different parts of your body to allow for my energy to go into your energy. So I'm becoming a conduit, a vessel for healing. So I'm allowing for the divine to work through me to channel that healing love into you, to allow for that healing to take place. So to go back to meditation, during the time that you're on the massage table, you're pretty much in a state of induced meditation in a way. But meditation is, the way that I teach it is, all on the basis of getting to understand your internal world, your mind. So what is it that is remaining on the unconscious or subconscious level within you, right? What are the things, the patterns that you've taken upon yourself that you learned as you were a child from your, abusive mother or your alcoholic father, right? What have you taken in as your own and created these own patterns of yourself to live in this confine of just limitation in a lot of ways. So meditation is helpful with breaking the barriers of what you thought was possible, because you're going beyond the mind. You're going to another space of nothingness, a spaciousness, vastness, no time, no thing. So that's a whole other different conversation. But spiritual life coaching, to make it quick and short, that is all about guidance, receiving, messages from what is being called of me in this time. Am I aligning with my purpose? Am I making sure that, the things in my life are what is exactly meant for me? It's about actually getting your questions answered and getting to talk things through a lot more. So it's a beautiful concoction of healing. So we're actually taking action and we're doing the things that are needed to improve the healing mentally, physically, spiritually.
Yeah, I would say that it sounds like it's almost like a trifecta. You're putting it all in one little bubble and you're kind of dealing with it all at one time. But I wanted, for this sake and purpose, let's compartmentalize all three of them. So with Reiki, when you have clients that are like in this process, what is it kind of like for them? What is something that they experience or the hope when they come out of it, and kind of like walk us through that kind of process?
Yeah, for sure. So the goal of it is to bring you to the frequency of unconditional love and, most importantly, freedom. Freedom being the highest vibration that we can live in as human beings. And so what we're trying to do is move ourselves energetically to that space and thus creating a physical reaction in the end. So everything starts off on the energetic field and moves into the physical field. And so a lot of the times emotions such as, fear or anger or guilt or shame or remorse, all that stuff comes up as we're moving into those frequencies, those higher frequencies. And so, a lot of the times people are given visuals of things that occurred back in childhood that they have not fully recovered from or healed from. And it's as if God is, or whatever you want to use, God is a very misused term, but the life force energy that is within me and you, it's as if that is holding your hand and hugging you and kissing you and making sure that you feel nurtured and cared for and listened to. So that's a really important part of that too. But oftentimes there's a lot of crying because crying's a huge release. So I'll have like big macho people come in that will say, I'm not really a crier, haven't really cried in a really long time, don't really do that kind of thing.
I feel like that would be me. That would be, I'd be like, I'm not an emotional person. I'm not going to cry. And then
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just like a wave of just stuff comes up out of you. And it's so interesting because you never think that this stuff is inside of you, but it's so subconsciously hidden. And, with that divine energy coming in, it has the ability to just release it.
And what is it like for you to be really to kind of hold that in your hands, right? You're, like you said, you're the vessel for this, and to be the one seeing this unraveling, seeing this unfolding of a person and balancing that act of being there as that support and empathetic.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome question. It's so incredibly beautiful. It is the most rewarding, fulfilling experience for me. It can be exhausting at times, yes, of course. And it can be overwhelming at times, yes, of course. But I'm learning so much about myself and about human beings and about the way that our world works through the work of one-on-one with people and seeing these things come up. We crowd ourselves with so much day-to-day busyness, so much future planning, so much past, remembering that we don't give ourselves time to actually feel what's being asked to be felt. And so it's so beautiful to experience that happen with people. So I just feel so blessed.
So can you tell me too a little bit about, when I met you, I think I've always been in tap with, figuring out yourself, holistic approach to life. Where did your kind of journey start with really wanting to take it from just maybe like a personal level to really wanting to fulfill that passion of yours for other people?
Yeah, such a great question. It's so funny because when we did first meet, I would say I was an entirely different person than I am today. I have done a complete transformation, and I would give the credit to meditation, honestly. for just drastically changing my life in every single way imaginable. But it was actually on our trip in Italy that we had, where, you know, I had hurt someone I had loved terribly, and I had begun to create this identity out of shame. And shame is very different than guilt. Guilt is based off of a single experience or circumstance that occurs that you feel guilty about. But shame is the creation of that guilt becoming an identity of yours. And so that shame then unfolds into this experience of incredible unworthiness. And so I was feeling just pangs of deep unworthiness, things that were just, you know, reminding me of my childhood and bringing up terrible wounds of that time. And I actually sat down for my first meditation in the summer of, I think it might be 2019. And for 3 straight hours after that meditation, I was hysterically crying. I was just releasing so much stuff, so much anger, so much confusion, so much self-hatred. And I was able to see myself as this 5-year-old little girl and look into her eyes. And she was wearing this white, beautiful dress. And I got to just hug her and tell her I love her and that she's okay and that she's so amazing. And yeah, that was the start to it. That was when I realized that there's something else out there that is just wanting to be seen and understood and felt. So, yeah.
And I feel like too, when we talk about meditation, you know, for some people, I think, myself included, there was a time where I was like, meditation is a whole bunch of hunky punky shish that like I'm not going to get into, because I just couldn't like think of it as something that I would be interested in. And then when you actually sit and do it, it is so therapeutic and healing for people who, you know, like are either struggling to get into it or struggling to like wrap their mind around it. Can you talk a little bit about just the process of it and how it kind of looks different for everybody?
Yeah, definitely. So meditation, it's so funny. The majority of new clients that I have that come in always say, meditation's so hard for me. I'm not doing it right. I feel like I'm not doing it right.
That's how I feel. I'm like, am I doing it? Am I not doing it?
Yeah. So, you know what, to the people that think that, or at least feel that way, which is the majority, I would say, be aware of that thought that's coming in, right? So clearly there's something inside of you that is consistently filled with doubt, self-doubt. And that's an interesting thing to note, right? So meditation pretty much is the basis of acknowledgement of the thoughts going on inside of you. It's the observation of the thoughts going on inside of you with as little judgment as possible. So what you're doing by asking, am I even doing it right? What's even happening here? And then getting frustrated with it and deciding that it's a no-go, you are, you know, creating that judgment for yourself. And so that's something that's being asked to be observed within you, and thus bringing that awareness, which then creates the change. So the only way that change does actually occur is through awareness, through that light that you're bringing, because you would never consciously want to judge yourself. You'd never consciously want to inflict pain on yourself, right? So by bringing the awareness there, by bringing the consciousness to the forefront, you recognize, hey, you know, I don't want to judge myself. If my mind's going in a million different places, that's exactly what I'm supposed to be aware of. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that definitely does. Like, and I feel like too, with meditation, it's that, right? All the outside noise, like blocking that so you can really, really tap in to what you're thinking about. And I think for me, at least when I've tried to do it, I feel like I really either have to be in the right headspace or like really just tell myself mentally, like, okay, like close your eyes for a second, you know, like really trying to tap in on that, because it's so hard for me to sometimes like block that out. Do you feel like that's sometimes what you get a lot too? Like a lot of clients being like, I just can't settle and like sit for like a second to really give my all to this practice.
Yeah, definitely. All the time. And that is, you know, the piece of insanity that has come, you know, within the mind. It's actually delusional to the point that the mind has really come to with our society. And it's not a space that we're supposed to be living in. It's considered extremely normal, especially with the caffeine intake that this society has gotten so used to. It's this constant go. Yeah. This constant movement, this constant chaos, this constant go. And that is a very masculine based energy. And so we are very dominated by the masculine. And so each human being, we have this energy field of the feminine, which is the receiver, and of the masculine, which is the giver. And because we've become so imbalanced in the masculine, we've forgotten about the feminine, which within the feminine, there's such beauty and wonder and magic. Now, the feminine is based off of being, and the masculine's based off of doing. And so we've become such doers that we've forgotten our stillness, we've forgotten our peace. And so we're constantly in search and seeking our external for validation to fill the void within that we're feeling. And so it's interesting, but I definitely understand where you're coming from with that noisiness. That happens to me all the time too, with meditation. That's normal. But it's good to just become aware of that. Where's my mind going? Is it going into the past? Is it going into the future? What is it thinking about constantly? And am I aware of that? Now bringing that awareness in and recognizing, hey, I can change this, right?
And what's something too, because I know, again, like meditation looks different for a lot of different people, right? Like for people who feel like they want to get, they are just feeling overwhelmed with their day to day and they just want to take 5 minutes to do that. What's kind of some advice for them if they just need to like kind of silence that noise and really just tune into that present and to find that maybe in like a short time frame?
Yeah, I love that. Perfect. So I would say using the body as your vehicle. Now, the mind can always go into the past and it can go into the future. It's quite the time traveler. Now, the body cannot be anywhere but the present moment. So a really helpful tip here would be entering deeply into the body. Now we have our 5 senses to help us do this. So closing your eyes and really focusing in on the smells all around you. You can hear all around you. How far is that sound away from you, right? What can you taste in this moment? What can you see in the darkness of your closed eyes? Those specks of light, those shapes, those colors that might come up while your eyes are closed. Really feeling your body sitting or resting on whatever it's sitting or resting on. And also doing a body scan too. So kind of just putting your energy and focus into your head, into your shoulders, into your arms, into your hands, right? And just feeling the energy move from each location of the body. But you're just releasing all of your energy cords that are being stuck in your past and in your future. You're bringing all that back into you. And that's when that creative energy can also start to really flow so beautifully into your life.
For sure. And let's talk a little bit about spiritual life coaching, because I think a lot of time there's a lot of misconceptions that are surrounded by that concept. And it really is like a completely whole other different thing. Can you talk a little bit about that? What are some of the misconceptions that you've heard and maybe the reality of what you actually do?
Yeah, definitely. So the way that I coach is from a very universally understood basis. So what I mean by that is I'm never trying to project my opinions or my understandings of the world onto you. It's always trying to help you connect with what it is that you believe in, and recognizing in that deep trust that is so important in continuing through your life journey. A lot of the times, our stress and our worry and our tension comes from this idea that we are in it alone and we are the separate fragments of the whole puzzle. And so we rely on ourselves to get ourselves from point A to point B, right? But what is the thing that's actually allowing you to do that, right? Your heart's not just beating because your heart's beating. Your lungs aren't just breathing because your lungs are breathing. You have this life force energy that is moving so beautifully through you, that is actually guiding you towards everything and anything. Anything you say, anything you do, it's this energy that's moving through you. The same energy within me is within you and is within the trees and is within the birds and all of that. So it's this realization of unity, connectedness, guidance that you're constantly provided with, this tuning into your internal world rather than your external world, shifting your focus to what does my body need right now, right? What's my heart saying right now? Am I listening to that? And aligning yourself with your purpose. So yeah, I would say that I haven't received a ton of misconceptions about it. But, I think a big piece of it, I think probably the main misconception would be that I would be trying to project my opinions of what I believe this world to be and what I believe our mission here is. And that is definitely not what I'm trying to do. I want to give you the space to figure out what that is for yourself and sprinkle in little bits and pieces of just guidance and love and support through that whole journey.
And for that too, what do you think? I almost in my mind think, you talk about Reiki and how people with maybe past experiences that are really still trying to heal, maybe that's why they come to you. Meditation is somebody who's maybe trying to find their present. What's the reason that somebody might seek you out for that spiritual life coaching for someone, or is it like a vast majority of reasons, or what have you kind of seen in the majority with your clients?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. It's usually guidance. It's usually, what am I doing with my life, right? Am I making the right choices? Am I aligning with my purpose? What is my purpose? How can I find more meaning in my life? I'm really unhappy with my relationship. What do I do? I feel really disconnected from myself, from my emotions. How do I connect more? I feel lonely. I feel, it's all of it. And it's being able to actually speak about it, because in our Reiki and our meditation sessions, we do have about 5 to 10 minutes in the beginning of the session to talk with one another, but the spiritual life coaching session is entirely talk-based. And I do help you through a couple different exercises and techniques to help you through whatever you may be going through. If there's anxiety that's been coming up, how can you better understand that and how can you heal from that? Different techniques and stuff like that too. So yeah.
And you've taken this work and this practice of yours and you have created Maddie Meditates, which is online. And I feel like it's a lot of daily affirmations and it's snippets of what you do on a day-to-day. What kind of made you feel like you wanted to branch out and kind of share your practice really on a wider base?
I tell everyone this, but I was put here to help, to heal. I was put here to guide and be of service to as many people as I possibly can. So just getting my name out there and being able to allow people to feel as though they have a space to authentically connect with someone who gets it and who understands. And although I am only 23, I have done this in all of my lives. And so I have the wisdom and the connection to that source and that spirit to be able to provide life advice to 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds on a daily basis, which is so crazy if you think about it, because you're like, age 23, how would you know how to help a 60-year-old who's going through a midlife crisis? And I'm connected to that. I've really worked so hard on connecting myself at that level.
And I feel like too, I kind of going back to that, people our age that probably know you and you're, before your transformation, and then seeing you now in this way, in this almost like enlightened state, because I really think that I watch you and I feel like you are more yourself than you've ever been. What has that kind of been like for you? Kind of like, putting yourself out there in this way and unapologetic with it.
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible. I have chills all down my body. Thank you for saying that. I work really hard every single day to give myself the same advice that I give to everyone around me. I live by my own rules. I live by the methods that I teach the people that I love. And so I allow for myself as well to just experience emotions as they are, neither categorizing them as bad or good, because a lot of the times when we are living in these bad emotions, we're constantly trying to push ourselves to the other side and say, I want good. I only want good, right? I want to be happy. I want to be joyful. I want to be blissful. Keep me there. And when I go over to the other side, well, oops, right? So I allow for myself to sit there though. I feel the bad emotions. I enter into it very presently and very consciously with a lot of awareness. And by doing that, I'm able to hold this space for myself, which allows me to hold that space for other people too. So this transformation for me has just been so incredibly powerful and transformative. I lost a lot of people on my journey. It has been quite lonely at times, that's for sure. But I wouldn't be going through the transformation that I'm going through if that hadn't happened, right? So I've been, clearing a lot of the way in my life to make room for, high vibrational people, high vibrational experiences, food, drink, all of that. So that comes with the lifestyle as well.
And I know for you, you're probably doing it on a bigger scale, right? As far as like, I don't want to say ditching the people, but like, kind of clearing your plate with the people that you want to keep near you and others. But I feel like on people who aren't in your practice, they're also doing that too, right? You always, I think, are trying to take away the toxicity and keep things positive for people who are also going through that and, are decisive, like maybe I don't really like this person, or maybe this person's not bringing out the best in me. Advice for people who are maybe navigating that right now.
Yeah, wonderful question. It's not easy, and I feel for you, but you have to trust your gut, your intuition that is telling you that you are, being asked to make room for the new. So often we doubt the so-called negative experiences in our life, not seeing the bigger picture that is available to us. And so anytime a door closes for you, or you're closing a door on another person, it's opening the door for them to a grander and much greater picture. And you have to trust that by kind of looking back at your life and seeing all the times that has occurred, because it occurs every single time that you do that, right? But we don't remember, we don't acknowledge, we keep that doubt there, we keep that fear there, and it just lives in the body. So we say that, well, if I let this person go, then, I'm causing them harm, and am I going to be okay? Am I going to find a new best friend? Am I going to find a new partner? Yes. The answer is always yes. And it's going to be bigger and it's going to be better than before. And so trusting that instinct, trusting that intuition that you are making the right decision for yourself is very powerful.
And let's talk about the other side of it, right? So you could either be letting that toxicity go or trying to welcome in new people. And I think that's just as scary, right? Like maybe you don't have a lot of friends and you're trying to welcome in a new, secular group, right? Of people that you really want to keep and hold tight. For people who are kind of navigating that and trying to find who their people are and surround themselves with people who are beneficial to them. What's kind of the advice that you would give to somebody like that who's trying to put themselves out there in a different kind of way?
Definitely. So you raise your vibration and the vibrations around you will follow. That is simply stated. This also goes with manifestation too. So anything that you want to see change in your life, anything that you want to see come into your life, it just requires your vibration to change. And it sounds so simple, but it comes down to the nitty gritty, right? What are you doing in the morning to help yourself feel healthy, to feel loved, to feel nurtured, to feel guided? Are you journaling? Are you meditating? Are you, working out? Are you eating healthy? Are you spending time by yourself? Are you, going inward? Are you reflecting? Or all of that, right? The more you do that, the more you work on your own energy, the people's energy around you, you'll want to invite in, right? But you'll be attracting that at numerous, like incredible levels. So yeah, I'd say anywhere I go, I'm constantly bombarded with people that are wanting my energy. And so once you get to that,
I could say that to you 100%.
You're probably the same way too, though. And it's about boundaries at that point though, right? So, for all my people out there that, have raised their vibration to a higher degree and, may even be an empath as well, you probably are, making sure that you're allowing for your boundaries to be put into place, because that is incredibly huge.
And I love how we have this. I feel like this is conversation that's just flowing and my mind is just coming up with questions. The boundaries too. I think it's funny because I think similarly, maybe we were in the same boat, not the same kind of transformation, but I feel like I still am a very big mover and shaker. You know me that I love to multitask, and I'm not good ever being settled. I work my best when I have 1,000 different things that I need to accomplish. However, I feel like maybe even COVID kind of sparked this, that everyone around me has kind of settled a little bit, and like taking the time to like, at least for me, I think went through this transformation of really being at peace and enjoying my own company, which like before I never really was about that. Like I always felt like I needed company. I always felt like I needed somebody with me. And like, I am a-okay with being with myself. And I feel like a lot of other people in our age group have maybe like phased out of the needing a full social calendar with kind of taking a slower pace at life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that can be hard too sometimes, right? When we maybe have that outside pressure, but it's like, what are you really comfortable with? What are you really not comfortable with? Kind of navigating that. Any piece of advice for people who might feel those outside pressures, but kind of staying in tune with what maybe you really want, whether that be, saying yes to that friend or maybe just asking for a night in.
Yeah, definitely. I think something important to note here as I answer the question is, for those of you that are scared to spend time, alone, and you probably wouldn't use the word scared, but for those of you that don't desire to spend time alone, I will let you know right now that you're scared of it. And there's pieces that are wanting to be observed and are wanting to come to the light. And within that silence, within that alone time, that it will arise. And so you are pushing it to the back burner so that it does not need to be observed. So that's stating that. And then for those people that are, wanting that alone time and are feeling that guilt, that shame that comes with, denying a best friend who's wanting to spend time with you, by you acknowledging and, really respecting your boundaries, your wants, your desires, your needs, you're teaching everyone around you to do the same thing as well. So bravo to you, right? And at first it might seem really difficult, but I want you to know that in that time, you're teaching them such a profound lesson by respecting yourself. And that's how you model to the world, right? How do you treat you, right? How do you listen to you? And that's how people are going to learn. That's how everyone learns. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I love that. And let's talk a little bit about relationships too, because I feel like probably the majority of your clientele, right, probably went through something either positive or negative in a big way regarding a significant other. And I know even friends of mine recently that have gone through pretty big things and have maybe sought out some additional help and advice. For people who are going through those big life changes in a relationship sense, I think there's a lot of different things that can go through one's mind at that time, right? There's like the 5 stages of grief that you're accomplishing. For somebody who's like kind of at those beginning stages, and maybe ended something in a more toxic sense, right? Because I feel like it's probably the majority of people that you speak to. Advice for them kind of navigating that terrain.
Yeah, definitely. So a very important thing when it comes to relationships is that they are, so this is not going to make sense to your mind, but it will make sense to your heart. They're not here to make you happy. That is a very misunderstood piece of relationships. And that's why we put so much expectation and pressure onto them and then onto the other people involved. They are here to make you conscious. They're here to bring awareness to you, right? Because everyone is simply a projection of you, right? So your inner reality is simply being projected onto everything and everyone around you. Now, if your inner reality is one of very low vibration, aggressive, angry, judgmental, you will project that onto another person, and thus that will be projected back onto you, right? And so we have to recognize that the people that were in our relationship with us or are still currently in a relationship with us, they're mirrors. That's all that they are. And so how can you love you better so that the people around you can love you better? That's a really important thing too. And releasing those expectations from people, especially if you're in a relationship, right? We want to release those expectations of change for this other person, right? A huge piece of life is based on such profound resistance that we have upon what is, right? We want to change what is. We want to change the person. We want to change ourselves. And if we can just come to this place of, I accept you for you. I accept you for all of you. I love you for all of you. You're saying that to yourself as well. And so I think that is such a such a big piece in relationships too. But anyone who's going through heartbreak, you know, turning to this trust in the bigger picture, right? You weren't here, you didn't come here so that you could just have an uphill, awesome experience. You came here to fucking learn, excuse my French, but you came here to learn. And you can't expect for just there to be peaks constantly. There's gonna be valleys, and why not enjoy the valleys as they're there? Because they're teaching you so much. And so really just being so grateful for those moments, feeling them as much as you possibly can. Feel the anger, feel the hate, feel the rage, feel all those intensity of emotion. Feel that, be in that, bring awareness into that, and it'll leave you sooner the more that you can.
I love, you touched upon two things that I kind of want to touch upon. And the first one is that highs and the lows. And it's funny that you say that, because I feel like I used to have this, like I have like two life mantras, so to speak. And one of them is that I wanted to be what I call just happy. And what I mean by that is not a high all the time, but content with where my life is in those little pockets, right? Because you know that you're not going to be at a high all the time. That's just life, right? But to be happy and content, going to sleep every day that you gave that day your all, and that you just tried your hardest and you were more in touch with yourself, you know, finding and figuring out whatever that was. So I love that you say that, because I feel like that's always a really hard thing. And I mean, no one has that 100%, I don't think, but like, that's something that at least for me, I strive for every day. Like I keep that in my back pocket. The second thing, you talked about expectations. And I think in the world that we live in today, you know, we are thrown with so many different things on social media and on Instagram and whatever. And I think there was almost this facade of like this perfect life, whether it be a perfect relationship, a perfect home life, a perfect career, whatever have you. And I feel like a lot of people, especially in our generation, are trying to achieve that perfection, right? That expectation of what we think we need to achieve because that's what we see. Can you touch a little bit upon that? Because I'm sure that you probably speak to so many different people who either feel those pressures or anxieties just on that alone.
Yeah, definitely. Expectation is such an interesting one here, because it's all so mind made. And what I mean by that is, once you get there, once you meet that perfect expectation of yours, you're still not going to be happy. You're still not going to be satisfied, right? So it's the choice in the present moment to be okay, to be content, to be satisfied. And that's simply a shift in perspective, right? Can I be okay with everything going on right now around me and within me? And if the answer is yes to that, you've surrendered to the present moment. You have surrendered completely. You've accepted completely, right? And those expectations are able to leave you, because what they're doing is it's just consistently projecting this aspect of limitation, this aspect of, well, when I'm in the future, I will experience salvation. And so it's this lack of present moment power, present moment awareness, right? So throughout your day, ask yourself, can I accept everything that's going on right now in my life? And if you can, you've dropped those expectations for yourself and thus allowed yourself to actually live your life fully. Because those expectations are it's just ways of the mind projecting itself into fear and resistance and this dissatisfied experience, right? So it's just this perception shift of, okay, I'm good with all that's around me. That's not a lie, right? You're not lying to yourself, but you're shifting your perspective from one of, you know, either can I change this? Do I need to remove myself from the situation? Or can I accept this, right? All else is madness. So you either accept, you remove, or you change. And if you can't do, you can't change, you accept or you remove. But all of those, out of those three, you pick one. And the rest of it is just mental insanity.
Yeah, mental insanity for sure. As far as for people, because I do think, and we talked about this before, when we were in Italy and after, I was like, I want to get my aura read. I want to go and sit to somebody, and I think it's taking that step to do it, right? Because you could say all that you want to do, but to actually do it is a whole other thing, because you're going to have to come face to face with whatever it is that's either holding you back, those fears, those expectations. For people who are maybe considering and are just needing that little nudge to be able to to pick up the phone and call you, or to take a book, or to take those 5 seconds to meditate? What's some advice for them?
How would you direct your best friend? Right? What would you tell your best friend to do? And oftentimes we're so much nicer, so much kinder to our loved ones, and we can be quite cruel to ourselves. So what would you tell your best friend to do in this situation? I think that's a really, really great little one.
I love that, because I always say, I'm like, a best friend's your best therapist. That's like, because it's like that. You're being kind, you know, you're saying the truth, but you're also being very kind in the direction of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Any last kind of pieces of advice? What are some words that you live by? Because I think people might, you know, see you and might be like, oh, Maddie's got it all. She's got it all figured out. She's so at peace. She is like, I mean, living her best life. You know, what is some words of advice that you kind of live by in your day to day?
Yeah, so it's always different every day, honestly. I have different words of advice for each day of meditation. I always come out with something different. But today's focus was from a shift of fear to a shift of love. So we have 2 choices in our lives. We get to either choose fear, or we get to choose love. And so if you can shift your perspective to one of love, in every moment of every day, you are going to find so much more peace in your life, and just recognizing how much fear really does come up so often. But yeah, love, always, always, always love.
Maddie, I cannot thank you enough. It was so good seeing your face, so good speaking to you. And if anybody wants to get Maddie's social links, I will link them down below. But as always, there is a new episode of The Spotlight every Thursday. Thanks, Maddie.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. So happy to be here.